the first time in my football career where I had not started a game that I was playing in, or on the team for, because from the time I started playing in 6th grade, started every game, played 4 years in high school, played 4 years in college, and then I get to the league and I'm the third string behind Michael Vick and Nick Foles.
Good. We're recording too, Matt. Thanks
All
for
right.
coming on. We'll just so your kids are going to bike home from school?
You know, I think it might be a learning curve for them, but they got to let their wings fly. And
My thing with the carpool is just give your kid a scooter and like tell them, hey, we're like 100 yards down the street.
so you don't
Ride
have
to
wait
this
in line.
block and
That is
pick 'em
smart,
up.
because people get to carpool like 45 minutes early just so they don't have to
Yeah.
wait in line that long.
But then you wait in line.
But then you wait in
45
line
minutes.
to get in the front. It makes no sense. Scooter idea is not too bad.
I like the idea. All right. Initial thoughts. I was just reading this from a mailbag fan, USC fan. What are your initial thoughts on the Lincoln Riley hire and Caleb Wilson or Williams? Caleb Williams,
Caleb Williams, yeah. Oklahoma
OU guy
coming to town.
coming to town.
I was hyped when I first heard about that hire, and I think the USC fan base is as well. There's just a lot of talk, a lot of chatter, a lot of
money.
excitement, a lot of money coming in. Yeah, we could talk about the whole NIL stuff later, and it's just good to see that excitement back, because SC football, I think everyone can agree, when they're in the mix in one form or fashion, I think it just helps the overall landscape. And so when you have a high-profile coach like that who comes in and bringing top recruits, it's kind of putting that fire back where it needs to be.
It just seems like they just disappeared.
They had a rough go, and I think there were lingering issues from the sanctions, from the NC2A sanctions.
Yeah.
I don't know how long, if you can quantify how long
Are
they
you
really
talking
lasted.
about the Bush?
Yeah, because even when I was there, there was a trickle effect because there were 3 years where they had 10 less scholarships allowed. And that's 30 guys that didn't get to play college football, as you go down the line. And I just think getting back from that was tough, and finding the right recruits again. And then, Coach Helton, I love. He was my quarterback coach for 3 years before he became the head coach. So a lot of respect for him. And I just think at the end of the day, they needed to win more and get different type of players in. And so hopefully this kind of changes the tide in that.
It's so cutthroat.
It's
You can be
brutal.
awesome and you can have a few good years, and then at these programs, like if you look at Auburn's coach, like Gus Malzahn, won a national championship, and then you have 2 average seasons and you're gone.
You got to produce. I mean, just like anything else, got to produce.
Yeah.
But for coaches, for college coaches at least, it's wild, because they can be bought out and they still get everything they were owed. And
Yeah.
makes me a little jealous as a player, where every year is uncertain. And you got to earn your keep.
No guarantees.
No guarantees, but coaches are sitting pretty.
Yeah. You grew up in Southern California. I guess a little context to listeners.
Yep.
We didn't meet on the football field, unfortunately, USC Notre Dame, but we did meet out here a few years ago.
Yeah.
I think just through some friends. But you're from out here, went to USC. The only thing you're missing is a call from the Chargers to round out your
Still
career.
waiting. Still waiting. To live in one house year round would be fantastic. But
So talk about a little bit about growing up in Southern California. Was playing quarterback for SC always the dream? Kind of what was the evolution of that?
yeah, I mean, I grew up here in Orange County, and grew up. My dad went to USC, so there's Trojan blood in my family. And driving around, you see USC flags, license plate covers, stickers, kind of everywhere. And alumni tend to still stay down here and live in Southern California. So I was watching, Reggie Bush, Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, the Pete Carroll era when they were winning national championships and Heisman trophies. And it was, exhilarating as a kid to watch those games. And I would go up to spring practice and, meet players. So I was all in and wanted to play there since even before I started playing football, because I didn't start playing football till 6th grade. My mom wouldn't let me play tackle. And
why?
I don't know. I was playing travel baseball, club soccer. I was, playing basketball for my school, and there was just a lot going on, and I was happy. I was having fun. Mm-hmm. I don't know if she really had a true reason behind it, maybe just to let it develop. But then in 6th grade, quit soccer. I think they're the same season, and finally started playing football. But always wanted to be a quarterback. I was, a pitcher, a center midfielder, a point guard. If you can picture me at playing point guard, but I always just kind of wanted to be.
You would have been a chunky point guard.
A chunky point guard. Always wanted to be in control, dishing out whatever was going on, knowing what was going to happen. Kind of the opposite of playing defense, I guess.
Yeah.
Didn't want to be reactionary. Wanted to kind of be, the field general, or whatever you want to call it. And so started playing quarterback that first year, and went to Mater Dei, which is a pretty good program out here in Orange County.
Pretty average.
Pretty average. They just got their 3rd Heisman Trophy winner with Bryce Young this last year, which is I guess a record for high schools.
Did they recruit you?
They did not. No. So my cousin is a year older than me, and he was trying to figure out where to go, whether it was a public high school around here or Mater Dei, and he ended up going to Mater Dei a year before me. And so then I went to I think it was my 8th grade year, I went to the football camp because he was already there. And that was kind of a done deal, just seeing how good the program was, how good the coaching is. And my cousin was my number 1 receiver in high school, so kind of made the decision easy.
Was that Robbie?
Robbie Boyer.
Robbie Boyer.
Oh, yeah. He was all CIF. He was incredible, as a receiver. So
did you always show like a high acumen for quarterback, or was that something where you were getting a lot of lessons, or what was that developmental process? I feel like it's a position with a high skill.
I think I was always one of the bigger kids, taller kids, not necessarily faster, but I guess coordinated, had an arm, probably from playing baseball. And I really believe the first coach I had, Brent Melbon, saw something in me and took me to play quarterback, because the first week I started playing football, they actually tried to put me on the offensive line. Mm. It was kind of when there wasn't that much difference in linemen and, skill players, but if you're 2% bigger, they're just going to put you up front. And I was one of those bigger kids, and I was devastated. I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. This is not happening. And luckily that coach, who was, I guess, the offensive coordinator or assistant coach, kind of took me to the side and put me through a few quarterback drills just to see. And he said, "No, you're not playing line. You're playing quarterback." And so grateful for that. And I think from there, definitely had a lot to work on. I mean, he taught me what a 3-step drop was, what a 5-step drop was, handing the ball off. But I started getting quarterback lessons maybe a year or two later, and before high school, I was pretty serious about it. So I think 8th grade really ramped it up, and having a private quarterback coach and doing that whole thing, which is, it seems like a late start, because nowadays you see all these kids that are in 2nd or 3rd grade already having private coaches, or they're doing the Friday Night Lights deal, and they're running offenses, and it seems like they know a lot more football than I did at that age. But I don't know. I think there might have been something to do a late start, and just prolonging that process, I guess. But
I remember in youth sports we called it you got the black stripe on your helmet if you were overweight.
Is that right?
It was
it's the big kid coming for you.
Big kid, and you got the stripe if you were, I think you were over 120 pounds in 6th grade. So I was I was always good. I was a lanky kid. Justin was the same way, but our next brother in line, Jack, was like a little bit thicker, and he got the black stripe his first year and was so devastated. I mean, it crushes a kid. It's like I'm playing on the line.
Put that marker on him.
I have to play offensive line, and he's like one of the faster, more athletic kids.
120 in 6th grade. I'm trying to think of what I think the weight limit was 135.
Yeah,
for us.
Yeah, you guys push it out here.
I might have been pushing that 135.
135 in 6th grade.
Yeah, because I don't remember my 8th grade. I was at least 6 foot, 6'1". Because my freshman year of high school, I was 6'2", 205. Coming in as a 17-year-old. No, 14-year-old. Yeah.
So
I don't know, that's a long time ago.
Has weight been something that you can just put on? Has that always been?
It has not been a problem. Yeah. I think it's been good because I've had to be very regimented in my diet and in training and in supplements and all that aspect of the game, because like I got buddies who can eat Oreos every night or, pound a pint of ice cream and still be vascular with a 6-pack, and that's just not me. And it's forced me to be disciplined, which carries over into other areas of life, which is it's a good challenge to have.
Yeah, I appreciated the guys. One buddy in particular, Jalen Smith, linebacker, former linebacker at the Cowboys. He was 3% body fat, consistently in the bod pod at Notre Dame, and I'm like, I mean, this guy could eat whatever he wanted. Then we had another guy, Tavon Coney, was the exact same way.
Yep.
This guy would eat buffalo wings before practice.
Same.
I've never seen the like of it, and he would just go out and dominate, and it just looked like a G.I. Joe.
That was like Tyron Smith at USC was my left tackle. He was 285 with a 6-pack, shredded, and would chow McDonald's every day. And I was so confused. I'm like, how is this possible? And I guess genetics might play a little role in that. But
did you have to start watching? Was that at USC when you kind of had to start being regimented with?
It's probably when I was more mindful of it. Yeah, when I had to, I did some meal prep too for a time in season just to stay easy, because with a college schedule, it can get easy to just eat quickly or eat whatever you want or just go to the cafeteria and kind of have whatever. But I remember having to plan ahead just so that I'd have good options in front of me, which is still a challenge. I think planning is probably the hardest part because your life is busy. We talked about picking kids up from carpool or whatever. That looks like you just get caught up in the everyday, and then you just kind of eat what's in front of you or what's in the fridge, or eat your kids' snacks, which, that when kids enter the scene and they got snacks all over the house, it gets rough. Or you're cooking chicken fingers for dinner and you just start chomping on them. I think being prepared and having a plan is probably one of the things that's helped the most.
Dude, the snacking gets me every single time.
It's rough.
Because there's just like these delicious bags of, they're even healthy snacks. These chickpea puffs downstairs. I could just tear them up. I could eat a whole bag. They've got way too much fiber in them, and it just ends up not working out for me.
Yeah. Eating whole foods, not at Whole Foods, but like actual natural whole foods with one ingredient. You don't really find that in kids' foods. You see grab and go or prepackaged snacks or the quickest thing to eat. So,
is that something that has been a part of your regimen, like a whole food diet? I know people talk about that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of benefits in doing that because you take out a lot of just crap, a lot of artificial flavors, a lot of additives that are just unnecessary, that cause inflation, that cause inflammation. Inflammation.
We'll talk about Bitcoin in a little bit.
We'll get there. But I think keeping it as simple as possible definitely helps with overall health.
I remember at actually about a year ago, maybe we were at the Youngers eating dinner.
Yeah,
and you packaged your own meal. You couldn't even eat their chili.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. That was good chili.
I heard it was
yeah,
good.
Mr. Younger, he does like a beer-based chili. I'm not a beer guy. I don't really drink beer, but the chili was great.
I heard it was great.
Yeah.
And I've had to make some sacrifices in the past. I've had, I think, birthday dinners I've gone to where I'm on a strict meal plan and I bring my own meal to this birthday dinner and kind of whip it out and say, don't mind me, just do my thing over here. But
Are those year-round? Or do you do it like
those come in phases.
It's getting close to the season.
Yeah.
Let's tighten it up.
I think year round it'd be beneficial. It's just a little harder to do, I think, for me. And so when it's time to get ready for whether there's camp or OTAs or whatever it is, that kind of helps me hunker down and stay focused. Because if I commit to something, I go all in, and there's not a lot that'll waver me. But if I don't have a plan, or if I'm not, preparing for something, then I can kind of just get caught up in, eating kid snacks or just poor habits, I'd say. So.
Are there anything else like dairy free or anything you kind of just stay away from, period?
In general, yeah. Dairy kind of messes with my stomach, and I've noticed, I'm not lactose intolerant, I'd say, but you definitely notice, as an athlete, I bet you do too, just performance benefits that it's just not worth it. Like whether it's a runny nose or, you can't breathe the same, or like with gluten, I just feel a little inflamed. Inflation.
Good word choice.
Yeah. You just feel that inflammation from certain ingredients. So I try to stay away as much as I can.
Yeah. Outside of nutrition, hello Eli, my 3-year-old son, almost
made a little cameo.
Yeah, he'll come in. Maybe we can get him on the show later down the road. Outside of like nutrition, talk about your transition from USC to the pros.
Yeah.
What, I guess, were the difficulties? What were some things you saw? If you can remember that long ago, Matt.
Yeah, well,
going on 10 years now.
My transition was kind of different because my senior year, second to last game of my season of my career, I separated my AC joint in my shoulder to the point where we were deciding whether I needed surgery or not, and ultimately said, no, let's just let it heal and rehab. And so I was doing rehab on my throwing shoulder from November of my senior year to, it would have been that spring, and then it wasn't even fully healthy. Like I was looking back at some pro day footage of my pro day at SC, and I don't know what time that would have been, April, May, or this time of the year. So yeah, April or so, and it was rough. It was bad.
Wasn't a good day for.
I was like, if I was a scout, I would have probably walked away after seeing that. And so that was a struggle, just finding my motion again, getting that confidence back, really just becoming healthy again. Because I even remember in preseason that of my rookie year, almost 9 months later, still feeling like something wasn't right, and it took a lot longer than I anticipated to get back to playing speed or when I felt comfortable. And so that was a long process. And I got drafted to the Eagles playing under Chip Kelly, who I loved. And I think he drafted me because of when I played against him at Oregon, because that was the first year he was in the NFL. And I had played USC versus Oregon 3 or 4 times against him up until that point in college. And so he had kind of a first-hand experience of scouting and seeing me. So I think that's why he brought me in there, but it was not my ideal offense to run. Michael Vick was the starting quarterback, and it was kind of his style of offense. And I'm no Marcus Mariota or, anyone like that. And so I went from this pro-style system through high school and college to running Chip's offense, which is simplified so that you can go fast. And it was different for me because was the first time in my football career where I had not started a game that I was playing in or on the team for, because from the time I started playing in 6th grade, started every game, played 4 years in high school, played 4 years in college, and then I get to the league and I'm a third string behind Michael Vick and Nick Foles. It's a great quarterback room, learned a lot, but it was a different kind of learning because I was so used to firsthand experience on the field, getting reps, having that firsthand experience where you're, getting the motor skills. And now I'm standing in the back, I'm watching practice, and I have to take mental reps. I have to learn a new offense that was just different than what I had run before. And so it was a very different learning experience for me, but I think set me up for a lot of things that I learned in my career to help me get to this point where I am now, just because, I've had to learn over 8 or 9 different offenses at this point in my career. And I think that first moment of being in the league as a third string without having those reps kind of helped me prepare, I guess, in a different way.
We were both 4th round picks. I'll never forget my first training camp, really OTAs, and just sitting in the back.
Yeah.
Like literally you go, like you know the excitement like you get like going out to practice and you're warming up, you do your band stuff, stretch, whatever, and then you go through Indy and you're stoked, like let's play ball.
Yep.
And then literally it gets to team time, and I would remember like we'd have 12 rep, 15 rep periods, and I would sometimes not get a single rep.
Oh yeah.
And just sit there.
You have to stretch before.
Yeah.
Just not knowing if you're going in or not.
And then you'd have like the JV period at the end where all the third string guys would get 10 reps and it'd be full speed tackle.
Yeah. I'd say the one blessing about Chip Kelly's offense was because it was no huddle and everyone went fast. There were 3 different groups because you could only get like 3 to 5 plays at a time because there were no huddle. So they weren't going to take all 15 reps or 12 reps in the period. So it did kind of rotate through, which was beneficial. But there were definitely days where, you didn't get out there.
So did going from playing every snap to not really playing at all, you talked about the shoulder, mentally kind of what was happening in that time? Was it kind of a waning of confidence, or was it kind of a screw this, like they're going to see me?
I think it was a little bit of both, because I remember trying to justify how to be a leader, because I'd always led from the front and I had led by my actions and wasn't that much of a vocal leader. I've grown in that role, I feel like. But for the longest time, I was, always doing the right thing. I was, I'll do every rep. You'll see me, there early, and I'll set the example. And now in the league, I wasn't in that position. And so I didn't really feel qualified. I remember that mindset of, why would anyone want to listen to me? Or why would I do the community outreach deals? Or why would I go speak at this middle school when I'm just a third string guy that no one really cares about? And so that was, I think, something that I worked through. And even my wife, we got married my rookie year. My wife, Brittany, and I were kind of working through this, and we both ended up growing into different roles on the team in leadership, even when I wasn't playing. And so whether that was, Bible studies off the field with teammates, or hosting players over for barbecues, or whatever it was, game nights, we just realized there's still value in who we were and why we were there. And that was definitely a learning process to get to that point. Something we had to work through, but I'm grateful we did.
Was there a specific moment where you felt like a shift in terms of realizing again that you didn't need to be QB1?
I don't know if it was a work in progress over years that we were just fighting through and trying to figure out. I can't pinpoint it probably on one specific moment. I think it really flourished the most recently when I was with the Buffalo Bills, and we really poured into that community, into that team, and just being present and just being there for the even coaches' wives. Like my wife would meet with them and host meetings and do all sorts of stuff. But that, I think, really just showed us what we're capable of even when I wasn't playing.
Yeah, I remember that that moment when you found out you weren't going back and how hard that was on you and Britt, and now full circle.
Now we're back.
You're back.
Bills Mafia. It's hard to turn down.
I've heard it's a great culture up there.
It's
like football town.
It's unbelievable. You talk about passionate fans, because I started in Philly and got my dose of Eagles fans, which was something I wasn't used to coming from Los Angeles, and didn't really think it could be topped. But Bills Mafia is something else. I mean, they'll love you like family. No matter what you're doing. I remember I think we clinched the division against Denver. That would have been 2020. We came back at like 3 a.m. at the airport. There must have been 5,000 people just welcoming them. It was unbelievable. I'd never seen anything like it. Sleet. It was like freezing with sleet, and they showed up. They love the Bills, and it's hard not to love them.
I remember seeing that on Twitter.
Yeah,
going bonkers. As we've won a little bit more over the past couple of years, there'll be some people in the parking lots over at the Chargers facility when we arrive back.
You get them riled up.
We'll get them riled up. We gotta go far in the playoffs. Gotta win. You win, they come.
It's true. LA can be not fickle. You got to be a hot ticket in town, because there is so much going on, not only in sports. I mean, you have so many sports teams. Then you have the beach, you have the mountains, you have Hollywood, you have a little bit of everything. And as sad as it is, you got to be the hot ticket.
There's more competition for your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are getting there, though. Fun to watch.
Yeah. We got a great quarterback, and we got a great coaching staff and ownership. So we got bright years ahead, Matt.
Yes.
You guys are going to have to see us in the AFC this year. You're going to have to see us.
I'd love for that.
I would love for that showdown. I'd prefer it to be out here in Los Angeles. In the likes of SoFi Stadium, where it's not going to be
no weather.
5 degrees. But I don't care. I'll come to
fun.
Buffalo. I know. I'll come to Buffalo.
It's Buffalo game day experience is like nothing else, but having to play with no elements is also fantastic.
Yeah.
As a quarterback.
SoFi's great. I want to spend the last bit talking about your passions off the field, which obviously we've talked about before, but specifically this, I feel like you, Anthony Popliano on Twitter, Pomp. Shout out to Pomp. He's got great content. Few of the guys that actually got me interested in Bitcoin and the digital economy that is so coming upon us rapidly.
Oh, yeah.
When did you actually, I don't know that I've ever heard this, when you actually first got introduced and kind of found out about Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything happening in the crypto space?
So in the off season, I like taking different trips or visits to learn about business or finance, to enrich my skill set outside of football. And so this would have been, it's either 2016 or 2017. I think it was 2016. I took a trip up to San Francisco to take a little tour of Silicon Valley, Sand Hill Road, met with some VCs, did some different startup trips, and was with a group that a guy named Ryan Neist, a former player, he kind of runs a fund to fund up there. And so he has connections to all these top founders and VCs and whatnot. And on the flight back, it was the last flight from SFO to LAX. It was a Southwest flight, and so a lot of people kind of make that commute. And I think it was on the weekend. So we ended up meeting someone at the gate who Ryan knew, and so it's Southwest. So we sit next to each other on the flight home, and just start talking. It was a guy named Matt Medved, not Matt Medved. Oh, I just messed it up. Matt, I think I'm interviewing Matt Medved on a podcast next week.
Yeah. Go follow Mazzio.
Matt Mazzio. There we go.
Matt Mazzio.
Matt Mazzio, who was a partner at Lowercase Capital with Chris Sacca, was highly touted as a great resume in his investments. Anyway, we got talking, and he talks about Ethereum like it's the next best thing and since sliced bread or whatever it is. And knowing where he was coming from and how much clout he had in that space, I knew it was something that I needed to look into. And I had heard of Bitcoin, I'd heard of Ethereum, but didn't really do the deep dive yet. And so after that conversation on that flight, I remember for about a week or two just trying to read as much as I could, watch videos on what was going on in that space just to learn, because I think you need to research and know what you're putting your money into, and whatever you're doing, whatever investment you're doing, you know what's going on. And so I first got into Ethereum. Yeah, that would have been, it was 2016 or 2017. It was about $30-$40 at the time. So that was my first exposure, and Bitcoin not long after that. And it's a passion of mine. I've always been into all things tech, gadgets, electronics. Try to go to like CES every year just to see all the consumer goods and talk to people in that space. And so it seemed like a natural fit for me, and it just made sense. I mean, a decentralized currency on the blockchain, there's the potential is, I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole. That could be a whole another podcast, but I'm a believer and in for the long run.
So was it similar, like you were saying earlier, like the all-in approach, or in terms of going in on your investments, was it like, man, I'm going all in on this? Or
no, I mean, I put a little bit in at first, enough where if it went to zero, I'd be perfectly fine, and slowly started adding more and more and more. And I think dollar cost averaging has helped, which is, every week or every month, whatever it is, just buying no matter what the price is. If you truly believe in a stock or in a coin, it's a great way to just add to your portfolio. And so I'm not, 100% of my portfolio is not in digital currencies, but
Pomp says his is. He says I'm all in.
I'm all in and believing in it, but I have a house that I have a mortgage on here in Southern California that needs to get paid, and I have other investment avenues as well that I'm involved in, but it takes up a good chunk, I'd say. Yeah.
So what were like the main aspects of those decentralized? Obviously, decentralized being one, that made you so intrigued and interested. Was it more Matt having the credibility at first, and you're like, I just believe in what this guy's telling me, and kind of as you did your own learning?
Yeah, he was convincing, very convincing. I just think if you look at blockchain in itself, you don't even need to look at any coin. Blockchain is revolutionary, and just how the internet changed our lives forever, blockchain and Web3 or whatever you want to call it, is here to stay, and its impact on society and how things will operate. If you look that far in advance, you can just see what's coming. And so I saw that, and then Ethereum was, I think, lower than Bitcoin at the time, which is why I pulled the trigger on that first, even though you don't need to buy one full coin, right? You could buy $100 of either one of them and be you have a fraction of that coin. It's not like a share in a stock, which I think some people do confuse. But I saw just the potential for applications to be built on the Ethereum blockchain, which is kind of different than Bitcoin, which I see as kind of like the gold standard, where it is a store of value and it's more representative of an actual currency to buy things with. Whereas Ethereum, it's kind of like the internet, where you have a web page and you can build different applications through the blockchain. So all these coins have different use cases, but just seeing the potential, I think, of those two early on, and they kind of got me going. Yeah.
So in an end game scenario, in your mind, is Bitcoin something that people will transact with, or is it what you're saying, like a store of value that will kind of back these other coins that we use, similar like a dollar gold relationship?
People are already using it. I'm not here to say that it will replace the U.S. dollar, but in certain countries like El Salvador, it is the standard currency that all citizens use. They buy their coffee, they pay their mortgage in Bitcoin, they buy their groceries in Bitcoin, and there are more Bitcoin wallets now in El Salvador than bank accounts. And so it's interesting to see that specific use case and how successful it's been. I think one of the biggest pros in my mind is being able to be financially sovereign as an individual with Bitcoin, and how you're not reliant on a big bank. You're not reliant on a government oversight that can take away your coins. It's hard for Americans to kind of envision that life, or their life heading in that direction. But it's happened in countries over the world like Venezuela, or places in Europe where banks seize your assets and you have no control over any of your funds anymore. Whereas Bitcoin, it cannot be stopped. They can now, like in China, they banned all cryptocurrencies, but they can't.
In Canada too, right? They're trying to.
They can, but they can't take away what you have. Like if ish hits the fan, right, and you need to get out of whatever situation you're in, having access to all your assets on a thumb drive is pretty powerful. Like, you're not lugging around gold bars or you don't need to go to a bank to withdraw, suitcases of cash. You have all your assets in your control without anyone hindering you from using them. It's pretty powerful.
What do you think are like the biggest roadblocks over the next 5-10 years for this to like normalize into something where a large majority of the population trusts and sees value in?
I think one word that keeps popping up as to why people don't want to put money in is regulation. And as with any other asset, they are fearful that, the government, whether it's taxes or restrictions that will be put in place, will, diminish the value of the coin. But I think you have to see the big picture and see through that, and just kind of realize that the benefits of Bitcoin and kind of crypto in general outweigh any threat that might come like that.
But how can you just, in my mind, that's one of my biggest concerns. Yeah. But I was sitting there thinking about it over a bowl of cereal last night, and all it takes is some of these people, guys and gals who are very pro Bitcoin to get into policy making seats. No doubt.
Which there already are.
Which it's going to happen. Yeah. I mean, it might be a decade or two from now when a lot of these tech savvy people are taking positions in rulemaking, governing, authoritative positions. Once that happens, it's...
Yeah, and the lobbyists come in and...
Yeah.
Because that's how a lot of policy is dictated. And we're starting to see that already. I mean, there are big players in the game already. Not only, CEOs and founders, but, big time banks are getting involved. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they have power when it comes to, regulatory, deciding factors that come out. So I think those factors can be overcome.
So in like 10 to 15 years, do you envision going to a coffee shop, and what's the time horizon for this to normalize into society where it's no longer a $5 for a venti coffee? It's, I don't know, 50 sats.
Yeah. I don't know when that transition will take place. I know you can already have a card, like a credit card, that's linked to your Bitcoin account that you can swipe anywhere. So that already happens.
What takes place when you do that? What
it'll just charge your account that's holding, whether it's Bitcoin or it's a stable coin, that's already in place.
But is there a transaction where it sells the Bitcoin to US dollars and then the dollars go to the credit merchant?
Correct.
Okay.
So like Voyager is a company that has a debit card tied to a stable coin called USDC. So if you take $1,000 and you buy $1,000 worth of USDC, you'll have 1,000 coins. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. And then you get 9% interest while holding it there, but then you can swipe that card just like a debit card wherever you are able to swipe any other card. And so that's already in full play. Now, when we get to the point where that's the only option, where cash isn't accepted, or you can't use a regular credit card, I don't see that happening for a while, or maybe even in our lifetime. But the ability to use, to spend your coins where you want and when you want, we're already seeing that happen. So I guess we're just waiting for larger adoption.
So talk about owning Bitcoin, Ethereum as an asset. You can store it, you have Coinbase, you have BlockFi, you have different options. You talked about Voyager. I heard that with not specifically Voyager, but with these on-chain, I think, stable coins, that there have been some issues with the chain going down, or people losing them. Is that a thing? What's the safest way, I guess, for somebody who wants to first get exposure to say, I'm going to put it here? I think that instance, they were storing it in the ETH2,
Yeah. So you bring up some interesting points there. The easiest way for someone to get exposure to get in is not necessarily the safest way. Because if you just make an account real quick, whether it's Coinbase or any of those exchanges, they handle everything for you and they hold your coins, and it makes it easy to where you just have to remember a password. But at the end of the day, they hold your coins. And there's a phrase in the crypto community, your keys, your coins, which means your password to get to your coins or your wallet is called a key. It's a long phrase that's nearly impossible to hack unless you straight up give it to someone or type it in a malicious website. But if you're not holding the keys to your coins and someone else has authority over them, like in an exchange, they're not technically yours. It's just like any other banking institution or stock exchange that you would hold your assets in. And so having coins on a cold wallet, which is essentially like a USB drive that only you have access to, that connects to the blockchain to verify it and everything, but you have complete control and complete access, only you. And that is the safest way. I mean, people go even to further lengths to engrave steel plates with their keys on it, so that if house ever burns down or anything happens, they still have access to that key it's that important when it's held off an exchange. And it's called cold storage because no one has access to it except for you.
So. How do you do that? How do you go cold? Like if I want to take my coins from my BlockFi or my Coinbase account, and go cold. I have like a Coinbase like wallet. I have a wallet.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just for Coinbase, or is that my actual crypto wallet?
So it's just for Coinbase, but you can send those funds anywhere. And if you wanted to put it on cold storage, then there's a few different companies. Trezor is one of them. Ledger is another one, which is, again, it's a USB drive. It's an encrypted source, but you plug it in, then you would transfer to that wallet, and then when you unplug it from your computer, it has no access to the world. But
there's companies that are doing it. So how is it?
They just make the hardware, but they don't have control over your coins. So they're providing a means for you to control your coins.
So they
don't have access.
I couldn't just use a USB drive though off like Amazon or something?
No.
Okay.
Don't do that. No, there's trusted companies that provide products so that you can be secure with your coins. But your keys, your coins, not your keys, not your coins is sound advice. But again, it's not for, I guess, the entry level investor, because it is easy to just log into Coinbase and there you go, they're your coins. But in the back end, they have, just like a bank, they have access to your funds and can earn interest and can sell them. But then when you want your 100 coins out, they give them back to you. There's pros and cons, because you can earn interest on coins they keep or whatever that looks like, and it's easy again to use a mobile app. But if you're really trying to be secure about it and protect your assets at the highest level, then cold storage is the way to go.
Do you have like a percentage you do cold versus hot?
Yeah, I'm split in a few different ways with a few different wallets. I won't go into exactly every detail on that, but I think.
Wait, you're not going to tell us your key?
I'm not going to tell you my keys.
USC Trojan for life.
Trojan boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's pros and cons to both. Just depends on your, I guess, risk level or exposure. Yeah.
So what, I guess, in your opinion, is the time horizon for this? Like, in your mind, somebody buying in to this, have you ever bought and like sold? Like, do you play that game, or have you always bought and just?
I have sold a little bit early on. I tried. I know how to read charts and kind of understand basic chart reading, but I don't want to get caught up in being an active trader like that. So now, for me, it's mainly an investment piece where I see the long-term value, and I'm just trying to accumulate, trying to stack. And
stack
and sats. But if you can really anticipate certain ebb and flows to the market, then there's definitely ways to do that. But you got to know what you're doing, and you don't want to get caught.
What is that time horizon where you see this really evolving?
I don't know. My wife heckles me nearly every day about.
I hear Brittany.
Why don't we sell our Bitcoin, babe? We're in for the long run.
How do you get in?
I don't even have a number to tell her.
Yeah. How do you get in though at something when it's $30, $40 and now it was up to like $4,500?
Yeah.
You have to sell at some point along that way.
I haven't had a need to.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough and still playing in the NFL, which helps with expenses and stuff like that. And when the time comes where I have to sell, hopefully that never comes, then it will be a good payout. But I just see so much benefit in the long run still that it's still viable. It's still a good purchase, and I'm still bullish. So,
well, the end game is that we're purchasing and using those coins
when there's only one left.
Yeah.
When there's only one way to purchase, and that's Bitcoin, we'll be good.
Well, Charlie Munger said in an interview, which I found interesting, he's like, my conservative estimate is the dollar is going to go to zero within 100 years. And I mean, Charlie and Warren haven't been the most bullish on Bitcoin, to say the least, but for him to say that, I thought that was interesting.
Then maybe it's a generational asset we can pass down to our kids.
Yeah.
Which I have thought a lot about and could be. We'll see. But I don't know. The dollar just does not look strong. It really doesn't. Yeah. Hoping it bounces back, but a lot has to happen for that.
All right, let's get the mailbag questions from Twitter. Do you remember that play when Joey Bosa?
Oh yeah.
So you went. It was like 2 years ago.
Do I remember it?
Yeah,
yes.
You went. Was it your first play in the game?
Josh. Yeah, we were playing in Buffalo against the Chargers, and Josh had like a equipment malfunction or something, or maybe he got a stinger. I forget what it was, but he came out for one play, and it was like a third down in the red zone, like the 10-yard line. And I loved our red zone package, and called this play, and the ball is snapped. I'm in the shotgun, and I just see, Joey Bosa running straight for me, untouched.
He came
the right guard goes to the left, and the right tackle goes out to the backer off the edge, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't look right. And my first instinct was to try to swipe through it and break a tackle, and that did not happen. He just wrapped me up, and before I could even react, because I wasn't hot. It wasn't in my mind thinking that he was going to be coming straight at me, untouched.
Yeah, I was on the couch in our living room, unfortunately, recovering from the ankle surgery, but I remember that play, and I was like, ouch.
Not fun.
Yeah.
No. But I think we ended up winning.
You did end up winning. We were up, and we lost a lot of close games that year. I think we lost like 7 or 8 games by like
you had some brutal endings.
7 points or less. Some very brutal endings. Okay, a little more serious. If anything, what in your career would you have done differently?
Done differently.
What is it? 9 years, 9 teams for you?
That sounds right. I'm not going to count them right now. Yeah, 8, 9 teams.
Okay, a lot of experience.
Done differently. I don't know. I don't like to live life with woulda, coulda, shouldas, and so I think what people would probably tell me, or how people would most likely answer that question for me, would be that I would have left my junior year for the NFL, which probably would have been the financially sound decision. But there was a lot around my decision to come back my senior year at USC, which led to that. The NC2A sanctions being a part of it, the fact that we had a chance to play in a bowl game finally after beating Oregon and UCLA the year before, and there was a lot of hype going into that, and I just kind of wanted to see that through. But I wouldn't change that, right? I don't regret the decision that I made. So I don't know if that's an answer to that question. I try not to say, wish I would have done that. So
yeah, I feel like even in the negative moments, they're like learning lessons.
There's always something to learn. There really is. Everything can be a growth moment. So
I appreciate you, dog. This was great. It was fantastic. The office was cool today. It's been hot the past few recordings, and we've been pretty toasty in here, but
it's perfect.
It's been a nice, cool day, and you're really cool.
You know what else is cool? That trophy right there. The Warfel trophy.
Shout out to Danny Warfel and the Warfel brother fraternity.
Bang.
Yeah, you're a longtime member.
We're part of the club, dude.
Yeah, but you don't yearly renew your membership down in Destin.
I don't even have my jacket. I need to go back.
I don't know that I have mine either, though.
We'll
Don't they take it from you? You get it when you go back
Oh,
for the
really?
weekend, and I think they
We'll go back together and get a picture
next
in
year.
our jackets.
All right, bro.
Thanks, dude.
Boom.